After my last video where I had a pretty rough first go at it with my Mossery sketchbook, I was very interested to see how other mediums performed on their mixed media paper, so I decided to go ahead and use some alcohol markers to color this sketch of Hu Tao from Genshin Impact. I went ahead and grabbed my newest set of Arteza markers for this one, which kind of ended up being a little mistake on my part since I kind of botched this piece and ended up making her hair way darker than I intended, and the only reason because that, I'm just not super familiar with this set of markers yet, and I was too lazy to find where I had initially swatched these markers. So it was a little bit of experience as far as that goes, but either way, I am very happy to say that it was a lot more fun and easy using alcohol markers on this paper than it was with watercolors. If you watched my last video, I definitely struggled with watercolors, just had a lot of issues, so a lot of you guys commented on my last video and you just let me know that you had a much better experience working with alcohol markers on this paper. So I was looking forward to trying them, and I really don't have a ton of knowledge on which papers work best for alcohol markers, or really just things to look into, or just better ways that they perform on papers. And in my experience, I just haven't really even noticed a huge difference in how ink lays down on different papers, but I definitely didn't run into any issues on this piece. I don't generally do anything special as far as technique goes when using markers. I know some people rely on lifting with alcohol markers, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other techniques out there, but my marker process is really just layering a bunch and blending a bunch until I'm happy with how something looks. But yes, I have been playing so much Genshin Impact lately. I've kind of thankfully gotten to the point where I've explored a very good portion of the open world, so I feel like there's not a ton for me to do in the game daily aside from my actual daily tasks, which is definitely a blessing in the sense that I will most likely not have any more days where I dedicate a consecutive 10 hours into sitting at my computer and playing games, which might sound dramatic, but no, that was genuinely how I spent one of my days off a couple of weeks ago. But it was a lot of fun, but man, that was my entire day. The game is still a lot of fun though. I'm just definitely the kind of person who kind of feels guilty about playing video games for a really prolonged amount of time, just because I know there's other things I can work on. Plus, I definitely want to get started on making a lot of new stuff for my online store and just drawing a lot as a whole, but I've just been playing a whole lot of Genshin, so I'm trying to find a good balance to that. But either way, game's still a lot of fun. And then Hu Tao, which is the character I'm drawing here, is one of the first 5 stars that I was very drawn to, because her design is just so cute, and all I knew about her at the time was that she was affiliated with ghosts in some way, because a ton of the fan art I had seen of her had ghosts in it, and she's just so cute. I still don't have her in the game since I actually haven't been playing long enough to even see her banner, but I absolutely love her, and hopefully in the future I will get her because she is just super cute. This was also the point in the drawing at which I was getting kind of concerned about how dark everything was getting. I knew for her hair color, she has a reddish brown colored hair, and the reference picture that I was initially going off of to color her hair was actually a lot darker than her hair kind of looks in the game as a whole, so I don't even remember what I was looking at. It was official art, I just think it was some angle or lighting or something, I don't even remember, but I colored her hair and then I colored her outfit and I was like, wow, this is really dark, and then I looked at a different reference picture and I was like, oops, I made that way too dark. So at this point in the drawing, I was getting a little bit bummed about how things were looking, so eventually I decided to go in and do a colored background, and I wanted it to be very pastel and something that would just brighten up the entire piece as a whole. So I decided to pick yellow as a color since I figured yellow would be my best shot of not adding any kind of darker or moodier tones to the piece, because yellow is generally a happier color. So I went in and I just did a solid yellow color for the background eventually, and that really made this piece so much better. Definitely the hair and even the outfit honestly was a lot darker than I intended, which was absolutely my fault because I really should have paid more attention to what colors I needed to do and I don't know, built up colors instead of going straight in for the really dark colors. The way I colored her hair was I laid down purple and then I put red on top of that, and it was still too vibrant, so I laid a brown on top of it, and both the red and purple I had were pretty dark to begin with, and the brown I laid over top to kind of mute the colors and make them more neutral was darker than I thought it was, so I was just a little bit of a bloodbath for a bit there, but adding that yellow background, like I said, really helped this piece and just added some kind of colors to it. And then I knew I was gonna go in with a white gel pen, and anytime I do that, it really helps lighten the piece and add brightness to the piece, so I was slightly worried about it, but I was like, can't take away that color, so we're gonna power through it. And I'm very happy I did, because I am not unhappy with how this piece turned out at all. I think I will eventually end up making this little drawing of Hu Tao, as well as my last drawing I did of Kashing into prints for my online store. I'll probably do them as like the little 4x6 sketchbook prints that I've been doing on my store that are just like a couple dollars each, just because they're not anything like super fancy. And also I've really liked doing those 4x6 prints. I'm able to make them really cheap because I buy them in bulk, so it's not expensive for me to order, and I feel like it's just a lot easier for people to get a hold of prints when they're cheaper and stuff like that. I might eventually try outsourcing 5x7 prints instead of doing them at home, or I kind of want to like get a thicker cardstock, because definitely the paper I've been using for my 5x7 prints, it's like a good sturdy paper, but I kind of want it to be like cardstock thick. Like I want it to be thick and textured and beautiful, so that's something I want to look into. It's just so hard trying different kinds of papers, especially in printing at home, because I feel like so many are hard to find like a good textured matte cardstock to print on that has really good quality and that'll cooperate with my printer. So a little bit of a process for that one. I just kind of stuck with the very first thing I tried since it worked for me, and I have been happy with it so far, but I do want to change it up in the future and eventually maybe like outsource my Patreon prints too to get them printed on a nice thicker cardstock. And I know like a lot of printing companies, they do embellishments and stuff like that, and that would be super fun too, because it just adds more like just something going on for the print to make it more special, because I know a lot of companies offer like gold embellishments or other different metallic color embellishments, or holographic foil is something that I would love to do on some prints or charms or anything. I've thought about getting holographic film to put on my stickers, but a lot of them you need a laminator for, and the holographic film is actually pretty expensive, so maybe something I'll do in the future, because I really like the way it looks, but it'll have to be something that I invest in and I have to practice that a bit with, because I don't want them to turn up janky. I also kind of try not to think too much about what I want to do with my store for the future, because there's so many things I would like to do with an online store, and it gets a little bit overwhelming to think of at first. So I have definitely been starting small, if you could not tell, with most of my stuff being made at home, but eventually in the future when I outsource stuff, I would like to do a bunch of different things and just have a lot of fun stuff. It would be cool to do pencil cases and, like I've mentioned, charms and pins and stuff like that, and all kinds of goodies in the future. But for now, I do not have money for that, so we're not going to worry about it. But back to the drawing, definitely with the white gel pen, it helped this illustration out so much. I went ahead and I did like kind of like a sparkly, glittery look in her hair. This was something that I used to do so much with my art a couple years ago. Pretty much everything I drew, I just went ahead and added a ton of little like highlights in the hair with white gel pen, just to add sparkles and color and just to add like this little air of cuteness to it. So the reason I chose to do that for this piece was just because the hair was so dark and I wanted to take away from that, and I just drew in little flowers to match the flowers that she has on her hair, and I really like the way that that turned out. I feel like this piece definitely benefited from that, and it really helped to tie everything together and balance out the tones. It's still a lot darker than I would want it to be, but there's not really any way for me to fix it, so we're just rolling with it. And I had also started off this illustration, as far as the white gel pen goes, with the Uniball Signo white gel pen. I guess it's my favorite white gel pen. I have so many issues with it, because when the gel pens are fresh and brand new, they work totally fine, they work amazing, but after a while, they just lose that. So I switched over to the Arteza white gel pen, which I keep forgetting I have, so I don't use it. But I got it recently, and it worked really well for this drawing, so far so good on that. I don't know if over time it's going to do the same thing the Uniball pen does, where it just kind of doesn't want to work after a while, so I'll keep you guys updated on that, but so far so good, thankfully. And then, in a very good turn of events for me at the very least, once I finished doing this illustration and everything was done, Aslan decided to pay me a visit and he laid on top of my sketchbook, which he always likes to do this when I'm working on stuff, and it's the funniest thing, but it's so annoying because I have to like pry it out from under his body, and then he gets upset with me, and it's just like, it's a whole thing. But he came up once I was done, so it was very cute. So I just took some footage of him hanging out with me because he is a sweet, sweet little angel and I love him so much. But thank you guys so much for all your support. I'm almost at 20,000 subscribers, which is so freaking insane. Like, we're really close to 20,000 subscribers. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything special. I, in theory, would like to do a giveaway of some sort, but no promises. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.